Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Silver Elite by Dani Francis. This just came out from Del Rey. I was sent a copy for review from a PR company, so thank you so much to them for that. I had been hearing whispers about this book and that it might be a pretty big book, and so I was very curious to pick it up. And sort of my TLDR on this is, if you want a Divergent adjacent book that is grown up and sexy, Silver Elite is probably for you. I'll get a little more into detail without giving spoilers, but this is a dystopian romance with sci-fantasy elements to it. It is a steamy romance, so it does remind me a lot of the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. It has the same sort of propulsive writing that keeps you turning the pages. It's got a forbidden romance, high-stakes plot, political intrigue, psychic abilities, dangerous secrets, and honestly, I thought it was a lot of fun. It sucked me in very quickly and definitely kept my attention. In terms of who would like this, I think if you're into things like Divergent, Fourth Wing, the Throne of Glass series, maybe Alex Bracken's series, this is probably something you're going to enjoy. While it's not exactly like those, it probably is the most in common with the Divergent series, but it's not really the same either. It has that same quality of writing that is very fun, propulsive. We have a fairly young heroine, so I would call this new adult to crossover. She's 20 years old. She is still that classic heroine type who is very headstrong, very impulsive, sometimes to a degree that's a little bit of the too dumb to live trope, admittedly, but it is a tried and true trope for making conflict happen, is having your characters make really thoughtless decisions, which we definitely get in here, but it is definitely an adult novel, and the second half in particular is quite steamy. So you get kind of all of that blended together. I would not be surprised if this takes off in the way that Fourth Wing did. I feel like it has the same sort of vibe, the same sort of easy readability that is blending romance with these kind of high stakes plot points that are not hard to read or consume. I feel like even if you are not a big sci-fi or fantasy reader, you could pick this up and pretty easily understand what's going on and enjoy the story. Is this going to be everybody's cup of tea? Of course not. Just like some of the other books that I mentioned, not everybody was a fan of them. This is not going to be for everyone, but I would say if you like the series that I mentioned, you should really give this a try because you might enjoy it. I'm seeing some people comp it to the Hunger Games. I don't think that's as good of a comparison. Hunger Games is much more political. It has a lot more social commentary built into it. And while yes, these are both very dystopian novels and I can see why people are comparing them, I actually think the Divergent series is a much better comparison to give you an idea of what to expect. It is set in a futuristic dystopian world that is run by a dictator who's also part of a company. You don't get a lot of details filled in on this, but it is also the first book in the series, so my suspicion is we're gonna get more of the nuance and depth of the politics and what exactly is happening in book 2. But what we do know is that it's linked to a company. It's giving me extreme late stage capitalism, perhaps, is kind of the vibe. And there are people who are called mods who have these unique psychic abilities, and they have been outlawed. They are supposed to either be under a government registry or they are killed. So our main character, Ren, is a very powerful mod who is living in hiding with her adoptive father. And one thing that's important is that most mods, when they use their abilities, you can see silver running through their veins, but not Ren. She is one of the rare few where you can't see when she is using these abilities. So she needs to hide them. And after some things happen, she ends up being forcibly recruited into a military training academy for the Silver Elite program. And so a lot of this book is taking place in the training program for the Silver Elite, where some of the potential recruits will make it and others will not. And of course there is a young man who is the son of the general who runs the whole company. And while to all appearances they definitely should not be in a relationship with each other, they cannot seem to deny the intense attraction between them. I think a lot of people are going to eat this up. I think it's going to do very well. If you are somebody who is very annoyed by having heroines who make very poorly thought out decisions that then drive conflict or things that happen in the plot. If that is a thing that you don't like, this may not be for you because that happens a lot in here. Personally, I enjoyed it. There was one thing towards the end of the book where I was like, I wish we had had a different mechanism maybe for some things that happen afterwards, but like this is a tried and true trope for a reason, and I can see why it works. I will definitely pick up the next book in the series. I'm very curious to see where it takes things and if we get more information on the world, the setting, the politics, but it is a page turner. It has a cliffhanger ending, it has strong romantic elements. It's a lot of fun. I would say the two main characters, Ren and her love interest Cross, are to all appearances white, but outside of that we do have a fairly diverse cast of characters. There are side characters who are people of color and queer characters, and that is treated fairly casually. And so this is doing something that I appreciate in fantasy and dystopian books, which is that while there is plenty of oppression to go around, we're not replicating the same sorts of racist and homophobic elements of oppression that we have in the real world. So that's kind of nice to see. So there you go, that is Silver Elite by Dani Francis. I found it really enjoyable and entertaining. I had a good time reading this. It is not going to be to everybody's taste, which is true of pretty much every book, I would say, but I think this one is going to be a crowd pleaser, and I expect it's going to take off. It has the same quality to it that I saw when I first read an arc of Fourth Wing, and I was not surprised when that took off either, so I think you can probably expect to see a lot of people talking about this book, and I would anticipate that we're going to get fan art, because of course, that's what happens. I do feel like the market for this is really millennials and Gen Z who came up on like Veronica Roth, Alex Bracken, Suzanne Collins, Sarah J. Maas, and then as adults got into spicy romance, because this has that nostalgic vibe of like early to mid 2000s dystopian novels, but kicking up the spice element quite a bit. If you reached this point in the video, drop me some kind of a silver emoji in the comments down below, or let me know if you've read this, if you intend to read it. Does this sound like it would be up your alley? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.